Floki, you crazy.
Life try. Every night. Welcome to yet another episode of Mentors Mentality. This is Sabelo Hlongwane, otherwise known as Coach Sabza. All right. Topic for today, transformation, transition, innovation. Right. So I would say mainly transition and innovation is something that I would like to discuss. Not as, I guess this topic would not be similar to a lot of the others that I've done in a sense of soccer examples to life examples. There's a little bit of that, but more about life. And the reason for that, I'm sure you'll understand as I elaborate on the topic. But as always, I will use a soccer experience that helped me learn and understand a life situation a little bit better. So I would say how sports relates to life is what I'm trying to express. So in the past few weeks, I've been watching and talking about Manchester United and their performances, the change of managers, and so forth. So I may have mentioned this in previous podcasts, but I just want to elaborate on this particular point and the importance of innovation in life and understanding how innovations can impact a new transition. Okay, so Sir Alex Ferguson was a very good coach, brilliant coach, some may say great. He used to run a formation known as the 4-4-2 formation, where you have 4 defenders, 4 midfielders, and 2 strikers, right? And he was very successful with this until a transition happened where Pep Guardiola came in and introduced a 4-3-3. Now, Pep Guardiola for the past 10 years, I'd say, has been a very successful manager, just as successful as Sir Alex Ferguson was at a point. And through the years, other coaches have studied and understood his tactics. And so the new transition has now become the 3-4-3, which has allowed Chelsea to be a much more successful team under managers like Tuchel, who currently won the UEFA Champions League. But the point that I was getting at is, I looked at all these transitions happening in soccer, and I saw how, a great could be beat or brought down by not somebody who's proven as a great, but somebody who's innovative enough to create a transition or cause a transition into a new way of playing. So like when Pep Guardiola came in as a manager, 4-3-3 became, let me say this. When Sir Alex Ferguson was the manager, 4-4-2 was a big deal, that formation. So a lot of managers tried it out. Not all were successful, but a lot tried it out. When 4-3-3 became successful, a lot of managers tried it out. When the 3-4-3 became successful, a lot of managers tried it out. But it's always the first movers that have been the most impactful and the ones that benefit the most from that transition. Of course, you have to know what you're doing, know what you're talking about, know how to express it, know how to teach it in order for it to really be reciprocated by those that execute it. But taking that plunge and that initiative to be innovative in that sense is always proven advantageous if you stick to it and master it, right? And so I looked at that in soccer and I thought, well, what has happened in the world, in life in general, that has seen similar transitions happen? And one of the biggest, I'd say one of the biggest things happening right now financially or in the financial world has been cryptocurrencies, right? So I looked at cryptocurrencies. My brother introduced me to them years back, but didn't really care for them up until the past 3-4 years. I've really paid attention to that. So I've learned a lot. Prior to that, I was learning trading. So It was Forex trading. I was learning that and became really good at that. But I noticed the transition happening into the crypto world. And so I tried to be part of the first movers and indulge in that. And I think my trading lessons, or my lessons within trading, allowed me to better understand cryptocurrency. But to make you kind of get a picture of where I'm coming from, I had to look at the world's history when it comes to, or came to, finances, right? So I thought there never used to be money, and then there was money, and then there was a certain kind of money, and then money transition, and then, right? So for those that need the walkthrough, I would say, think of the world through the bartery system, right? Where if I have a certain skill and you have a certain skill, we would exchange those skills tit for tat, right? As a way to pay you back for you sharing your skill. In a simpler fashion, farmers, if you had potatoes and I had tomatoes, and I wanted potatoes and you wanted tomatoes, I would exchange potatoes for tomatoes. So there wasn't really an actual money system in that sense, right? And then as life and the world transitioned, we got to the point where there were coins. And coins were based on whether they were silver or gold or whatever raw material they were made out of, but also whatever value that was put on those coins. And as time progressed, we introduced the money, paper money, right? After paper money came debit cards and banks and all that. After debit cards came credit cards. And after credit cards, then you started to see the exchange rates and your Forexes. After Forex came cryptocurrency. After crypto, now we're looking at NFTs, which are, all digital. So looking at that transition, I just thought it was very interesting to see how first movers have always benefited the most. Like the people that were in Bitcoin early in the days, when it started in around 2008, 9, around that time, they're reaping the benefits now if they stuck to their guns and, try to see things through. Whereas if, like I said, you have to spend time in it, try to master it. Those that were in it and then doubted it and came out are not reaping the benefits. Those that are coming in late are new to everything, and so they're coming at a time where everybody knows where to go. And so when everybody knows what to do and then you come in, you're usually not going to benefit or gain from that aspect, right? And so that's where the first movers point that I'm getting across comes in. So that experience was not the only one financially, right? I also looked at myself as a coach and what I believe in, and I still have something that I would like to introduce to the world that hasn't been done yet. Have I learned from the past and kind of taken things and brought them together? Yes, but it's more innovative than anything else, right? My business, Lufoy Sports, it's a similar concept to some, but it's got an innovative side to it that isn't common, right? Down to the culture of it. And so keeping to that, regardless of what things come up, is key. But I always have to make sure that I am in front of my competitors or anything that is happening in the world. So as things transition, camera quality or cameras or platforms online, I need to be aware of that. Communication tools, I need to be aware of that, just to allow myself to not lose the innovative side of what I've created, because as things develop, that innovation deteriorates unless you try to keep up with it or you upgrade it or you master it even further, right? And so I felt that this was a very good topic to discuss, just on the basis that a lot of people get caught up in the present. And I'm not saying don't live for the moment. I understand that, life can be short, but I also understand that life can be long for some. So we can't really live on the basis of life can be short and that's it, right? It depends. As one of my professors in college used to say, it depends. If you live to be 90, you will regret a lot more things that you didn't do if you choose to live on a day-to-day mindset. Whereas if you live to be 90, but you think long-term, you stand to benefit. In the same instance, if you plan for long-term, but, God doesn't give you that long life to live, then of course you will regret not having done the things that you should have done. And that's where, for me, my life hack would be understanding balance and the value of balance, knowing when to do some things and when not to do some things, knowing when to plan or what things to plan for long term and what things need to be executed in the short term or enjoyed in the short term, rather. So the point that I was getting at with that is, as you view your day to day, I always advise that you take time to at least understand what is possibly to come, right? Analyzing that and trying to plan your life towards that, or trying to include that in your life right now for when it does eventually happen. So you, like a detail to that would be like, you think of when cryptocurrency was being introduced, right? Even if you didn't believe in it, keeping one foot in wouldn't have done you any bad, because what if it does work out? Then you stand to benefit, right? And so I feel like that is an experience that a lot of people went through who were in it and pulled out and decided that they didn't believe in it or it didn't work out. It always should stem from your beliefs and not only those of the world. And if you're going to indulge in anything, it's always good to do the research, understand it from your perspective and that of others, but understand it for yourself, right? And in terms of learning, I'm pretty sure Pep Guardiola learned a lot from Sir Alex Ferguson in some instances or ways regarding being a coach, even though he came and basically took over what Sir Alex Ferguson had been doing for years. I know and believe that he learned from Sir Alex Ferguson and innovatively adapted that tactic that he had to the game with what Sir Alex Ferguson brought, and that's what made him take the world to the next step. And I believe that's the case in all things, is seeing the world for what it is, imagining what is to come, incorporating what was with what you want to see happen, and then making it happen is always better than you trying to reinvent the wheel, as they would say, right? So, and I just believe it goes with everything. It's not just in business. It's not just in sports. It's not just in, finances. It just goes with everything in life. You look at parents to a child, and this is my belief, right? Everybody raises their kids differently. But my belief is I always wanted my kids, my kid, my child to take what I learned that benefited me and allow me to teach them, but also they should take that further. What did not benefit me, I learned from it. I may share that with them so they don't have to go through the experience themselves, but they can learn from it. But I wouldn't want them to do the things that didn't work for me, because that is not going to help them in the future. So rather, the bad I keep away, the good that I gained, give to them. And if they keep that same mindset of transition, I believe that the future generation is always going to be better off than the current or the previous generations have been. And so that's why I really felt that this was a topic worth discussing. And as always, I would really appreciate any comments that you might have to share about what you learned in your life. And maybe that might be something that might benefit me and many others in understanding different perspectives in terms of the transitions and the transitions caused by innovation, right? So, really appreciate you for tuning in and hearing me out on this topic. As always, like, share, subscribe, comment, all the things. I really appreciate anything that you have to share, because it could teach somebody, young or old, for the future generation or to benefit mankind. So, yeah, as always, this is Coach Sabza out.
Damn, Floki, you crazy.
Lifetime, every night, outside.